radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right. Well, I'm back. Today's Tuesday, March 12th, 2019. 71 days into the new year, just 294 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Man, what is cracking? Let's get straight to it. Tonight, very special guest, Brad Olsen, who just got back from Antarctica, and he's here with the full report. Tomorrow night, Maureen St. Germain is here. We're going to be talking about 5D. Can't wait for that. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. You can also email throughout the show tonight, Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Let's get straight to it. Our main computer did go down here in the studio, so we're broadcasting live on YouTube tonight. The show must go on. No big deal. Don't know why the main network feed just decided to crap out right before the show. So there you go. Let's get straight to the breaking news. Actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin were among more than 4 dozen people charged in a nationwide college admissions cheating scandal that involved wealthy individuals paying up to $6.5 million to place their children into elite universities. The scam, which placed students into top colleges such as Yale, Georgetown, Stanford, University of Southern California, UCLA, University of Texas, was run by one William Rick Singer from California, and Singer is singing right now. He is trying to save his butt, so he is talking. He helped parents get their children's college admission through bribes. Officials have been investigating the case named Operation Varsity Blues for more than a year. Now, it appears that Felicity Huffman made bail today, $250,000. Lori Loughlin, who is married to Massimo, the fashion designer, Massimo posted bail today of $1 million, put up his house as collateral. No word on Lori Loughlin. She was flying in from New York to surrender. I think it was New York. She was en route. Incredible. This is just the beginning. Coaches, admissions staff at these universities, everybody is now under scrutiny, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. So there you go. Huge news today. Also, Secretary of State today, Mike Pompeo, announced that the United States was withdrawing all of the remaining diplomatic personnel from Venezuela due to the deteriorating political situation in the country. Very, very fluid. Also today, big news day. Theresa May's Brexit deal has been comprehensively defeated by the UK Parliament for the second time. Now, next Thursday, which is March 21st, The European Council meets in Brussels for the final time before Brexit Day, which is March 29th. Now, we don't know what's going to go on. Are they going to delay Brexit? Is Brexit dead in the water? Is it something that's not going to happen, right? I mean, maybe if ever. We don't know. We don't know about the future of Theresa May as well. Crazy stuff going down right now over in the UK. Big space news today. NASA has selected 9 teams to study untouched moon samples brought back to Earth by Apollo 15, 16, and 17, which have been locked away in storage for the past 50 years. The teams have been handed a combined budget of $8 million to study the lunar samples in the hopes of deepening NASA's understanding of the moon. Wow. Big news. Big news. Tomorrow I'm going to comment on the Trump administration's 2020 budget proposal, which is canceling 3 NASA missions, and one of them is a telescope, and I will have that breaking story for you tomorrow. All right, our next event coming up is Contact in the Desert, May 31st through June 3rd in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California, at the Renaissance Indian Wells Resort and Spa. Tickets and info, contactinthedesert.com. And then right after that is our 2019 Soul Tech Conference, which is over the July 4th weekend at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. Go to Soul Tech Gathering right now and get your tickets, arrange your lodging, everything that you need there. Information about food and where to stay is all at soultechgathering.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It is just $2 per month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and click on that podcast banner. It's right there. And also, when you're there, become a Fadernaut over in our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Get those autographed hats and T-shirts and downloadable MP3 commercial-free audio files to play wherever and whenever you want. All right, let's get this show cracking. We got a lot to do. Brad Olsen's going to be here in just a few short minutes. Happy birthday to today. James Taylor is 70 years old, and our dead guy's birthday today is Jack Kerouac, 1922 to 1969, died at the age of 47, author of On the Road, and of course, a pioneer of the Beat generation. In 1969, at the age of 47, Kerouac died from an abdominal hemorrhage caused by a lifetime of heavy drinking. On this day in history, 2003, police recover Elizabeth Smart and arrest her abductors, Brian David Mitchell and his wife, Wanda Barzee. Fader fact: all human beings were lactose intolerant at the end of infancy. That's right. In 10,000 BCE, one human passed a genetic mutation that spread quickly, allowing humans to digest milk and other dairy products for life. That is your Fader fact. Tonight, Brad Olsen is here. He just got back from Antarctica. We've got his full recap and full report. Of course, he went all the way across South America, too, as well. We'll be talking about all of that, what he saw, what he heard, what he did tonight. It is a very big deal when one of our very own, like Brad, goes to Antarctica. Yeah. What do we know about Antarctica? Well, the truth is not much. We have a lot of information, but at the same time, we know pretty much nothing. I'm fascinated with Antarctica. You know, I want to know, has it always been there? Right? I don't know. We don't know. Did it move there? Was there some kind of, continental drift? Was it north? Did it move there? Right? Well, we don't know. At one time, we think it was possibly even tropical. There's evidence of trees and plant life and animal life. But was there an ancient civilization living there before modern man? Over the last couple of decades, and it goes back even further than that. If you go back to listen to Long John Nebel and some of the old radio shows and television broadcasts from the 50s and 60s. But certainly over the last couple of decades, there's been a lot of stories about the Nazis, Admiral Byrd and his expedition, and accounts that have surfaced right up to this very day. What is going on in Antarctica? We got Buzz Aldrin that had his famous trip down there a couple of years ago, which was clouded by a fake tweet that was let out from a fake account that a lot of people thought was Buzz Aldrin. But a lot of politicians and big-name people have gone down to Antarctica. It's a very difficult place to get to, right? How do you get there? Well, when Brad first planned this trip and started talking to me about it, which was over a year ago, I just thought to myself, how do you pull that off? How are you actually going to get to Antarctica? And when you get there, who are you going to be able to talk to? What are you going to be able to see? Are you going to get closed down? Well, Brad wanted to answer all of these questions. There has been so much that has surfaced recently about Antarctica. And when we look back over the last 5 years, especially since Fade to Black started, 5-6 years now, the stories about Antarctica seem to be weekly, about what is going on down there. Well, to have Brad on this show tonight, and he just came off of Coast to Coast. He just taped Beyond Belief in Boulder, Colorado with George Norrie. Tonight he's on with us. Tomorrow night he's on with Clyde Lewis. Everybody wants to speak to Brad. Brad is with us, and we're going to get the answers to all of that tonight. I really want to know. What an epic journey. We've got a lot of his private photographs that he took on his trip. So we've got those tonight. We'll be posting those in Twitter as this conversation moves along. And I want to remind everybody that tomorrow night, Maureen St. Germain is back with us. And then Thursday night is Fader night. Now, I know everybody wants to know what's going on with my health. I took a dramatic turn yesterday, had a very important doctor's visit, and a doctor's stuff that went down last week. And I did everything and went through it. It appears that I've taken the turn. Okay, so I just want everybody to relax, and we shall see. But today, I haven't felt like I did this morning when I woke up, or yesterday afternoon for that matter. Today, since, are you ready? Contact in the Desert last year is when it started. So think about that. It has been just a traumatizing thing to go through, but it appears that I'm okay. So with that, I'm going to take a break. Our guest is here, Brad Olsen, author, researcher, publisher. Just got back from Antarctica. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight we're on YouTube. Our main computer down. Main computer. But we've got many computers that are running different feeds. The one that is feeding YouTube is working. So we're going to go with that tonight. It's all good. The show must go on. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back with our guest, Brad Olsen. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, researcher, publisher, author Brad Olsen has just returned from Antarctica, and tonight we're going to get a full report on what he saw, who he spoke to, and what evidence has been uncovered. Full recap. He journeyed all the way across South America. It's an amazing story and ended up as far south as you can get. He's the author of 9 books, including his 2 with his esoteric series, Modern Esoteric and Future Esoteric. He's an award-winning author, book publisher, event producer, and his keynote presentations and interviews have enlightened audiences at Contact in the Desert, of course, the Awareness Life Expo, 5D events, and dozens of radio, including Coast to Coast and television shows, Ancient Aliens, America on Earth, and Mysteries of the National Parks. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Brad Olsen. Brad, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Jimmy, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on. Always wonderful to talk with you.
What's it feel like to be the man of the moment?
Yeah, it's great. I'm happy to share what I found down there. It's a very inhospitable land down there, very otherworldly, that I'll tell you about. And just glad to be back in one piece. I did lose about 20 pounds, though, on this trip. Wait till you see me. That Drake Passage took it out of us.
I can only imagine. That is some of the most unnice. I mean, there are reasons why it defeated so many brave explorers for so long. And you went and experienced it all firsthand. And we're going to get to all of that, Brad. We've got so much to talk about. And to have one of our own, a member of this family go down there and come back. We've been waiting for this, and we're very excited to hear what you saw. Now, before we get to all of that, this was, believe it or not, especially to me, this was actually, it was the end of a very long journey for you that you took months to prepare for. You first approached me. You wanted me to go with you, right? We talked about that a year ago, and I was like, but you pulled it off, and this was not an easy feat. And it started off in South America. And you went down, what country first? Was it Bolivia, Peru?
We did hit both of those with Nassim Harriman and Brian Forrester on his trip. But first I landed in Santiago, Chile.
Right.
And it took me about a week to buy a Ford Expedition that was already all set up for camping, cooking, and a good driving engine. And I bought it there and then just sold it only 4 weeks ago. I've only been back 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. And the way that you plotted this out, I think, tell me about that, because I think that is, if you're going to do it that way, which is don't stay in nice hotels. Don't, get a vehicle and do the drive. And so you bought this Ford Expedition. I remember you telling me, I'm just going to buy a car when I get there. It's like, Brad, are you serious? And then I sat back and I thought about the way that you were planning this, and it's actually the way to go. So you started off in Santiago, Chile. You get this. Did you have a map? Did you have days, plotted out in front of you? Tell me how you planned the trip.
Well, as it turned out, the Nassim Harriman trip was happening just 2 weeks after we landed. So I had 1 week to get the vehicle, and I did, paid cash for it, and had 1 week to drive all the way up northern Chile, cross the Peruvian border, get through the second largest city, Arequipa. It was the only time I got lost because it's a very valley intensive city. And then we got up to the Altiplano, and both Emily and I got altitude sickness. It was very challenging, but plowed on the next day and made it to Cusco just on time to join the Resonance Academy trip with 150 people. And Forrester and myself were guest speakers with Nassim Harriman. It was a really wonderful trip. We did 3 or 4 sacred places every single day for 16 days, and that took us all the way through southern Peru and into Bolivia. And around then, the trips broke up, but we still hung out with a few people in Copacabana, Bolivia. And then Emily and I set off and did our own thing and went south, and farther south.
Now, let's back up. You just mentioned Emily, and rumor has it, because you did the trip with Emily, but rumor has it that you and Emily had your first kiss at a Fade or Not party.
It's not a rumor anymore, Jimmy. It's true. At the Fade or Not party at Contact in the Desert, we had our first kiss.
Man, how special is that? I almost feel like Rita and I and our family vicariously did this trip with you guys. And to have you guys... Now, I remember the Fade or Not party. And this was the night where we did the 7-foot pictures, right?
Yep. At the Palm Springs house, and there was a fire in the backyard, and you were pouring drinks, and everybody was having a good time, and you know how chemistry goes, Jimmy. Nothing like a fate or not party to bring a couple together, and then they're off to South America and Antarctica. It's a great start.
And there have been in the past a few guests of Fade to Black that have gone down to South America and end up engaged. So I'm going to put you on the spot right now. You and Emily head down to on this trip. Did anything special happen?
Yes, it did, and we did get engaged. We got engaged on the extraterrestrial highway, and then I actually bought her engagement ring in Andalusia, where the elongated baby skull is, with Brian Forrester. So everything's extraterrestrial about our engagement and our togetherness. But I was kind of like half joking when I told her, Emily, I think we should call each other fiancé, because down in South America, if we get pulled over by the police, there's kind of this machismo with the police, and maybe it'll get us out of situations. We never got pulled over by police, but everywhere in South America, they have a police checkpoint about every 200 miles. And once or twice, we had to drop the fiancé line, and they thought that was cute and let us go.
Okay, all right. It sounds like, were you a little chicken? I mean, did you have to use the excuse, Brad, of the Guardia Nacional to cross the line of calling each other fiancé? Were you nervous?
Well, a little bit, since it's my first time and all. But I figured if we're going to spend 4 months together every single day, you're going to learn about that person, warts and all. And we did, and she's here right now with me and with a smile on her face, and the adventure continues. So I guess we're meant to be.
Yeah, right on. Congratulations to you and Emily. That is just a fantastic story. And so now, okay, you guys head off on this crazy journey. And my first question, I want to get some logistics out of the way. Sure. As you're planning your trip and you want to go to Antarctica, which is crazy enough, but do you need a visa? That's step one, right? Did you have to get a visa? How do you get documentation to go to Antarctica?
That is one of the most unique things about going there. We actually got stamped out of Argentina when we left Ushuaia. We had to go and present our passport, and the captain of our sailboat, we're only 14 of us, they had to make an application. We had to tell them our route. They had to interview the captain. We got stamped out. We did not get stamped in anywhere, because Antarctica, under the Antarctica Treaty, is an autonomous biosphere continent. It's like the whole continent is a world national park. And so for those 26 days that we were out of Argentina, we were like in no man's land. There are no visas in Antarctica, which makes it another little interesting tidbit about going down there. So I don't even know what, to get a travel visa to go to China, you know what to do, right? Or right. To go, if you're going to go to Russia, or and a lot of countries, you don't even need visas anymore. You just go on your passport. That may change with the EU, but basically you don't need that as well. But Argentina, who do you go and talk to? There's no consulate, right? There are no Antarctica embassies, and there's no customs to check into once you get there. That's absolutely correct. And we just stamped out like you would on a cruise ship going to another country. And the Argentinian Navy knew our itinerary and our route. But basically, you don't get stamped in or out when you go to Antarctica. It is kind of like no man's land.
Okay.
Which is another reason why it's so cool.
Now, what city did you stamp out of in Argentina?
It's called Ushuaia. It's the southernmost city you can drive to in the world, but it's not the southernmost bar in the world. And we did go there when we went to the Vernansky base, almost to the Antarctic Circle. We got that far south, over 65 degrees south. And that is the southernmost bar. And they were happy to see us because we brought a case of fresh fruit and vegetables for them, which we did at all these stations that we visited. And everything, it's like Burning Man. It's like the gift economy. You show up. We went up to the bar that night. We were invited, playing music, they were giving us shots. They make their own vodka at the Vernansky base. And I think our whole crew got a little hungover.
Now, okay, what city did you stamp out of?
That's called Ushuaia, and 90% of all ship traffic that's going to Antarctica leaves from this town.
I can't even find it here, and
Keep looking south.
How far south is it?
It's as south as you can go in Argentina,
because
I see across from the Beagle Channel is Chile.
Oh, here it is right here. Oh, it is. Yep. That's it. That's as far south as you can go.
Yep.
Now, you drove to Ushuaia.
Ushuaia, yeah, correct. We had to take a ferry over the Magellan Straits there and back. But Terra del Fuego is huge. It took us 2 days to cross Terra del Fuego.
Right.
It's a couple 100 miles. So it was flat and as boring as Patagonia on the east side. But as soon as we got to Ushuaia, the southern extension of the Andes Mountains rose up in dramatic fashion, and there was a glacier we hiked to just above the town, which is at sea level, and it was cold. I know I thought I was escaping summer or winter up here by going down there in the summer, but it was very much the summer, and certainly it was in the Antarctica too.
Yeah. How cold was it when you left?
We got some days where it snowed about a foot on our boat, and it got well down below freezing. But there were 2 days where it was so sunny and warm out that we were sunbathing on the deck in just our bathing suits.
Now,
so the misnomer about Antarctica being freezing is a little bit of a not always true. We got some really nice days down there too.
So I'm looking. It's a pretty big city. I didn't realize it was this big. But I see the main dock here. And there is like 4 big sailboats on this dock. Is one of these yours?
It could very well be, because we got tipped off. We got there right before New Year's Eve and did not have any passage or any idea how we were going to get down there. Just started inquiring, and one woman happened to be open the Sunday before New Year's Eve. And she said, "Oh, I just heard from a boat captain that one spot is available on one sailboat." And she's like, "You're lucky if you can even get that." So and she also tipped us off. She said, if you want to meet people who are sailing to Antarctica, go to this pier, because captains are always tinkering on their boat. They're always down there. So we did, and we met Charlie, the Brazilian who she was talking about, but his boat had filled up. But he texted us and said, hey, the boat that you had to step over to get to mine, they got spot for 2 people. And it was this Polish boat from Gdansk, Poland. And there were 11 Poles on the trip, and Emily and I and one other American named Luke Dog, and we're all really good friends now, and everybody's on Facebook and sharing their pictures. So we got really lucky. I mean, it was just so fortuitous that woman was open, and she sent us to Charlie, and Charlie sent us to Chief One, and we got on that boat.
The how big? Okay, now you said sailboat.
Yes.
So that takes this adventure up to a whole nother. How many feet is this boat?
74-foot sailboat.
Okay, and I've done a lot of sailing. That's too small for me to go to Antarctica on.
Jimmy, there were times where we were in the Drake Passage and all you see are giant waves all around us. And I'm like, how the heck are we going to get through this? And then the wave just bounces us up to the top, and you can look around and see for miles and miles, and then down into the trough again.
Oh,
and it was
man.
like that for 4 days straight.
Oh, man. Okay. 74-foot sailboat, which is sailing in that the sails are up. You guys are riding the wind to South America.
To Antarctica, yeah.
I mean, to Antarctica. It's unbelievable to me. That is crazy. Okay, so now 4 days, and you guys are sailing to where?
So the first destination was King George Island, which is in the South Shetland chain of islands, north and west of the Palmer Peninsula. And there's a Polish base there called Arctowski. And our captain, being Polish, made arrangements for us to go there. So when we finally got there after 92 hours, so just under 4 days, because we were a little late starting on the very first day, and I think they wanted to make time and they didn't want to lose time. So they took us out knowing that there was a bit of a storm. Well, it was more than a bit of a storm. It was an 11 out of 12. And within the first couple hours, 3/4 of our crew were all getting seasick and throwing up. That's how I lost the 20 pounds. I threw up all my food from 2 days before, and I couldn't eat for 36 hours. And when I started eating, it was just like saltine crackers and cheese. So we all went on a crash diet, and we fasted for 5 days and lost hella weight. And everybody that sees me is like, "Hey, you look great." And I said, "Well, you don't know how I lost this weight. It was a bit torturous."
Okay, I'm looking at King George Island here, which is what you would expect. It's just it's a frozen island.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, if people want to skip the Drake, they can fly to King George Island and then get on a cruise ship in Admiralty Bay. And then once you're in the channels between the islands and the Palmer Peninsula, the seas are very calm and nobody gets seasick there. But over 50% of the people who take even a cruise ship will get seasick in the Drake Passage. It is the roughest ocean passage in the world.
Now, where did you? Okay, so 4 days to get there.
Yeah.
Where did you guys dock? Where did you stay at St. George or King George Island?
Well, we dropped anchor, and every single night we stayed on the boat. We all had assigned bunks. Emily was right above me, and our friend Luke Dog was right across the passage. And the three of us, when we were sick, it was kind of like we were at summer camp because we were just laying on our bunks for days at a time, just talking to each other. And that was kind of fun. But then we went ashore to Arctowski, and they did allow us to have a shower. They had a Wi-Fi connection, so it was a post that I did from Antarctica once we reached land. And they also took us on a natural tour to see some penguin colonies. And then we got to have a party with them our first night there. And then they even allowed us to come back the next day. We had dinner with them and breakfast with them. They're very, very kind. We brought them a bunch of fresh fruit and vegetables, and they were happy for that. But everybody is just really glad to see you because they don't get a lot of guests down there, especially fellow Poles. And this was a Polish base. So our crew and the guests from Poland were really glad to be there as well.
Now, I'm looking at Arctowski base. There's like 4 buildings.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. And that was sort of a larger base of several that we visited.
That's incredible. And that is on the southwest side of the island. So that, which means you sailed around King George to get to Arctowski.
That's correct. And then the second day when we were all on the boat, it was a really nice day. And we went up that channel around that little island that you can see that no cruise boats would ever go. This is what made sailing so wonderful, is we went into territory that only a sailboat can go. And on that trip, we saw whales in the water near the boat. I saw a huge calving glacier come pounding down into the water and creating a wave that we had to kind of sail away from so it wouldn't rock the boat too much. And that's what made this trip so special, Jimmy, is being on the sailboat. Once we got there, it was the worst of worlds getting there. It was the best of worlds once we were there.
And where did you go to next after King George?
So then we crossed the channel to the Palmer Peninsula. We went to Enterprise Island to see a shipwreck, but we got there a little late because it was already high tide and we could only see the mast sticking up. But there was another boat that we were with, another Polish vessel that was all scuba divers. And they went and scuba dived all the wrecks, and the pictures they showed us were like as abundant as a coral reef. You wouldn't believe it. There were sponges, there were brightly colored, what looked like coral. There were spider creatures underwater, and the visibility was just outstanding. Cold as anything, but they had the suits to do that.
Now,
so that was really surprising to see that people were scuba diving in Antarctica.
Where is Enterprise Island on the peninsula?
So it should be on the northwest, not quite the tip, a little ways down. But we didn't really stop there. We carried on and went to Deception Island. And Deception Island's very easily identified because it's an almost perfect circle. It's a volcanic caldera that collapsed. And you can sail through Neptune's bellows, named by the old whalers because it's always blowing air through the entrance. And there is a rock that's only 2 meters submerged that has sunk many a boat. So you have to know how to get through that channel. And then once you're in it, you're in a protected harbor. And there's all these old whaling stations that we got out to explore. And it was also very volcanically active, like the black sands were steaming from volcanic eruptions. And we took our shoes off when we were walking in the water, and it was warm right on the banks of the bay.
Yeah, it's totally Captain Nemo territory here.
Oh, big time.
That is crazy. Did you, okay, so where did you guys go to next?
Then we went to the entrance to Paradise Harbor, where we spent 2.5 days. And we did a couple penguin colonies there. And those were the 2 nice days that we could. It was t-shirt weather for a couple hours in the afternoon, and I did my first polar plunge. Jumped in with icebergs floating around, got out pretty darn quick, but could say I did it.
And where is Paradise?
Paradise Harbor is on the Palmer Peninsula on the northwest side, and just below it, we crossed over then. We went to 2 bases, the Gonzales base, which was Chile, and then the Brown base, which was Argentina. Then we crossed over to Port Lockroy, which was a British base, now a museum. And then I had persisted ever since Ushuaia, and then I got the right contact person in Arktowski to go to the Palmer base. That's the American base that only allows 10 boats a year. And since we were 3 Americans and it's sponsored by the National Science Foundation, they kind of had to let us come because we're American taxpayers, and they made an exception and allowed us to come to the Palmer base. And that's where I got a lot of really interesting information.
Okay, we're going to take a break right here, and this is where stuff starts to kick into gear. What a trip. No, literally, what a trip. Our guest tonight is Brad Olsen. He just got back from Antarctica. When we come back, we're going to talk about what he saw at Palmer Base. And, of course, we all have those questions, and we're going to get them all answered. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Brad after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Brad Olsen. He just got back from Antarctica. Just got back. He got back 2 weeks ago. Discussing this trip down there, and he did it by sailboat. Unbelievable story. Now, Brad, we're going to talk about Palmer Station in just a second. But I want to ask about Emily real quick. Was she like, come on, let's go, let's do this? Right?
Emily was very much enthusiastic about this trip, although after we entered the Drake and we were all throwing up and the waves were pounding the boat, she wasn't sure if we were going to make it through and was wondering if we could turn back. And of course, the Polish captain wouldn't have any of that.
Oh, no. You go to your stateroom. So, yeah, and the other part, I mean, I can barely get Rita into an RV, right? That's a whole nother trip to get on a sailboat with the one that you love and go down to Antarctica. That's crazy. And, okay, and one last question. This is for me. On the boat, what was the food like? What were you guys eating? Well, I know that you weren't eating, but, you know, did you have a chef on board? I mean, or what? What was that like?
Yeah, we did. We actually had a chef that came out from Poland who was best friends with the captain and did a good job considering the circumstances. Sometimes when it was rough seas, it was only, we call them the Pablo sandwiches. They had a machine that could press down and make panini sandwiches, ham and cheese. We had many, many of those. But in rough seas, it was understandable that he couldn't really.
Of course not. Of course
make us a fine meal.
Oh man, that's a real expedition, and it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How in the past, you know, Antarctica technically wasn't discovered until 1819, I think, by the Russians, and before. I mean, think about that. It's some crazy. No GPS, no electronics, no radios, no nothing. You got a compass, maybe some type of timing device, a watch, right? Literally a watch, and going down to Antarctica. How brave those sailors were back then. It's incredible.
It really is, and to think that we were able to do it in 4 days down, but 6 days back because we had to tack up against the wind.
Right.
But we got to see Cape Horn, which the sailors on our boat, and they're all pretty much hardcore Polish sailors. Like they do the North Sea. Some of them have been up to the Arctic Ocean. And they said to see Cape Horn is like a mountain climber waiting their whole life to see Mount Everest.
That's right.
It is the most treacherous water pass in the world. So they were stoked when we got to see Cape Horn.
The videos and the film of Cape Horn when I was sailing, right? And I was doing this when I was down in Panama. The stories about Cape Horn are that's it. You're absolutely right. It is the most treacherous water in the world, period. And to watch these ships attempt to navigate Cape Horn, you've seen disaster movies with tidal waves. Well, this is what's going on there all day long, right? I mean, it is just like the craziest waves and weather. But you guys actually went through Cape Horn. That's incredible. Incredible. That's a once-in-a-lifetime event for very, very few people on this planet. Cape Horn is the reason why the Panama Canal was built.
Yeah,
that is the reason why, because navigating that just took one ship after another. Okay, so now let's get to the meat to the matter. Last year, when you were planning this trip, you and I sat down and we had you had a whole list of questions that you wanted to get answered about Antarctica and the reasons for going there. What were you expecting? What were your list of things that you needed to check off about Antarctica?
Well, first of all, I wanted to go down and see if what all that we've been hearing could check out. If other people, other captains, other researchers at the stations, anybody had heard anything about the giant UFO under the ice, about antediluvian civilizations, about the pyramids. And believe me, I was asking everyone I could who knew anything about Antarctica to talk to me. Starting on New Year's Eve, before we even went, Emily and I were invited by our captain to come to the yacht club was having a New Year's Eve party. And I was talking to a captain who's been going down there for over 20 years, including he's been to New Schwabenland, and he could not tell me any verification of even Nazi bases. Now, this isn't to say they don't exist, but these guys do know the trade and do know the continent very well, and even logistics on how to get around on the continent. But you have to understand, Antarctica is the 5th largest continent in the world. It's twice the size of Australia and about as big as the lower 48 and Canada combined. So it's massive in size, and the distances are vast.
Did this boat captain on New Year's Eve, did he know what you were talking about? Was he familiar with these stories?
He had heard of them, and he kind of just laughed them off. I don't think he had any firsthand knowledge, but he said to me, I love hearing about these conspiracy theories, but they really don't happen. I said, well, you've been to New Schwabenland. What about that? He says, well, they did drop those darts with the swastika on it. And he says, I tried to find one and I couldn't. And I said, well, maybe there's other things that are down there that you couldn't find either. He said, yeah, well, that's possible. It's a big continent.
So okay. So that kicked off on New Year's Eve. You wanted to check out this goes back to the 50s and the 60s, of course, Admiral Byrd and the Nazi bases, and of course the Fourth Reich leaving Berlin and moving down to Antarctica, and Hitler went down in a U-boat and survived. There's those parts. Then there's the Admiral Byrd part about flying machines that could go from the North to the South Pole in a blink of an eye, and there's that part with Admiral Byrd, of course, and the Nazi flying saucers. There's that part, and then we have the lost civilizations and these giant caverns under the ice and ancient beings and civilizations that are still living there. There are those stories that have surfaced. And, of course, Linda Moulton Howe has her whistleblower that is talking about these underground facilities that he went to as a Navy SEAL. So, and I can go on with the rumors, and of course the pyramids and Buzz Aldrin and everything else. So you've got a long list of stuff that you're prepared. This is why you took the trip. You didn't take the trip not to to go out and research these subjects, right?
I went specifically to research these subjects and try to find out if there was any truth or veracity in it. And we did the calculations. I found the list of all the passengers who have ever been to Antarctica in the last couple decades since travel down there has happened. And we added them up and we divided it by the population of the world. It's only 1% of anyone alive in the world today has been to Antarctica. So a lot of these stories are just difficult to verify, not only because where some of these places are rumored to be are so incredibly inaccessible, but who's going to go there to verify it? So yeah, I made it my mission to try to find out anything I could about anything in this field that you and I are so very interested in.
Now, what about...
I kind of came back not getting a whole lot, although I did get a couple tidbits that are very interesting.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. What about your boat captain? Did he know what you were doing?
He did, and we had to go to 3 interviews with him before they accepted us on the boat. And they wanted to know that, first of all, that we were going to help out, and we did have to wake up at ungodly hours to help with the watch because we can't hit an iceberg, right? Our lives are in jeopardy. So we were all committed to being on the crew, to helping out in different ways, mostly going up on deck even in rough seas and being on watch. And when we were interviewing him, I told him exactly what I wanted to do. I said, I very much need to go to Palmer Base. And he says, we'll help you do that. We'll help facilitate this trip for you. But he said, just understand, we only have a certain amount of time we can go. It's a big continent, and we have to go to this one region of North and Central Palmer Peninsula. And I said, of course, I understand that. And I did get some information from Dr. Michael Sala about a possible weather manipulation island on the Palmer Peninsula. And I was watching the skies, and maybe we saw a little activity in the clouds, but hard to completely verify.
And, okay, did you have any other information that you were carrying with you? Did you have names? Did you have any contact people? Did you, did you have anything to go to Palmer Station with?
Yeah, and that's with what Emery Smith was telling me, and I was on the phone with him a dozen times before this trip. And he said I had to be in touch with the general of Palmer Base. And I said, you sure it's Palmer and not McMurdo or Amundsen, Scott, South Pole? No, it's Palmer. You got to go to Palmer. You got to get the permission to go. Well, I went to Palmer, and I looked for the general, and there's no such person. So that was a big nothing burger there.
Okay.
But what I did find was some other important information.
Okay, we'll get to that. And I want all the important information, but what when you pulled into Palmer, what did you see and how big is it?
So Palmer, none of the stations are really that big. McMurdo is the largest base on all of Antarctica, but that's over on the East Antarctic side. We're up on the Palmer Peninsula, and the Palmer base, of course, is named after the explorer Palmer. So we got there, and it's a research station. It's about a dozen separate buildings, and the reason they separate them is if there's a fire, it doesn't take down the whole base and endanger everybody. And they're all connected by like metal walkways, so if it's storming or really snowy, you can still make it from building to building. And all the bases we went to had really nice lounges, bars, pool tables, darts, movie rooms. So they need to keep everybody's morale high. And Palmer had one of the nicest, including a very nice exercise room and weight room. And then the research facilities were off in other places. But since it was sponsored, their money all and their salaries all comes from the National Science Foundation. It is a research station, and that is the basis of all the stations that are down there. They're all focused on research, and that is what it says specifically in the Antarctic Treaty, that it's going to be open to all people and it's open to science. And you cannot leave a trace of garbage anywhere. There was an old Palmer station that we saw the foundations to, and they cleaned it up to the cement poles in the bedrock. Everything else was gone. So you have to treat it that way, and it's a good thing because it is like this giant continent that's a biosphere reserve, and everybody that's down there is studying the wildlife, the migration patterns. Some penguin colonies are going up in numbers, others are dropping dramatically, and there is definitely climate change going on down there. That's on the Palmer side. And I sent you a map that NASA produced. There are parts of Antarctica that are growing with ice and are actually accumulating ice, and others like the northern Palmer Peninsula that are rapidly receding. On my way back on this trip, I had 12-hour layover in Miami Beach, Jimmy. I went down to the beach. It hasn't risen an inch. So somehow Mother Nature seems to be able to balance itself out where some parts are melting and other parts are accumulating. It's quite a paradox.
How many people live at Palmer Station?
In the summer, which is our winter, of course, there are about 45, and in the winter it goes down to just a dozen.
Yeah, it looks bigger than that.
It does, but a lot of that is research facility.
Right.
They have, unfortunately, they didn't take us in to see their aquariums, but they have these really big aquariums with all the aquatic creatures that live under the ice, including these ice fish, which are really fascinating. They have no hemoglobin, their blood is white, and they live and thrive in sub-freezing waters.
Huh. Okay. Okay. So now, how long were you at Palmer Station?
So we were at Palmer for about 4 hours, just one day.
Okay.
We dropped anchor the night before, though, and then after Palmer, we took the Zodiac and we explored a whole bunch of islands around there, and we saw elephant seals. We saw leopard seals that were waiting to hunt penguins. We saw penguin colonies. So we made the most of our time there.
When you were at Palmer Station, okay, so you dock, you guys go and meet the researchers there. Was there any military?
No, there is no military, and that's a misnomer. The military is only allowed to provide support. So if somebody needed to be evacuated or emergency supplies to come in, the military can get involved, but there is not allowed any military expeditions. That is in the Antarctic Treaty. There's no testing, there's no training, there's no maneuvers that are allowed there. So one thing that happened on this trip, Jimmy, I did find out that there really aren't a lot of military expeditions. So when I hear people like Spartan 1 telling Linda about this military expedition, I have to raise an eyebrow, because it was told to me explicitly it is not permitted down there. And it's in the treaty that says that, signed by dozens of nations. And also when this Spartan 1 told Linda he went down to the Beardmore Glacier in August, he made a fatal mistake, because August is pitch black for 24 hours a day. Why would you go down there in the pitch black on a rescue mission when 4 months later you can go there and it's 24 hours of daylight? So I kind of have to raise an eyebrow, and I will talk to Linda when I see her at Contact in the Desert and just tell her that there's some things that are very fundamental that you have to understand about Antarctica.
Interesting. Now, you go and you start to meet these researchers there, and you're looking for a general. Who did you?
This is kind of embarrassing.
Well, look, I would have done the same thing that you did. If you need to contact the general of Palmer Station, I'm going to ask, where's the general? Take me to your leader. Is that what you did?
That's exactly what I did. And the guy just, I met the station chief. His name's Bob Farrell, and we first communicated emails, then we had his phone number, we talked on the satellite phone. They told us a time that we could, and a location where to dock and come ashore. And I had to say, I said, so you're saying there's no general here? He's like, no, I told you there's no military involvement. And I said, is there anybody nicknamed the general? Is there anybody who may have gone by general as their name? And he's like, no, and no. And I've been here 20 years and there's no one here named the general.
And so how did you respond? Did you tell him what you were there for?
Yes, I did. And I told him about Emery, and he says he would watch his videos on YouTube. And he told me, look, I've been to McMurdo, and one of these videos shows these tanks. And they kind of look like a tank, but he goes, look, I've been there, and what they are is earth movers. They move snow around, and they had drifting snow on them, and maybe from the satellite they look like it. So the point is, we hear a lot of stories about Antarctica, but a lot of these can be misconstrued. And some of these can also be where expedition groups are going. For example, remember about a year ago when the Strava and the Fitbit had that data dump, and all of the tracking devices showed people around the world, and what made it on the media was, our soldiers are going jogging outside the base in Kandahar and they're going to get shot at by terrorists.
Right.
Well, the more interesting part of the Fitbit data dump is it showed us where people are going in Antarctica. And some of these locations are very inhospitable locations. But what I also found is some of these locations are where the expedition groups have their staging grounds to go further afield. So that would make total sense. And as it turns out, a lot of these stories that we hear about what's down there actually have a kind of logical meaning about what's going on there. And even the pyramid, I was talking to this logistic group that I went to their office in Punta Arenas, Chile after the trip. And I am scheduled to meet with them in their Salt Lake City office as well to talk logistics, because I've heard Linda say in her interviews and other researchers that we know, we would like to go down to Antarctica and maybe somebody will fund us. We just don't know how to do it. Well, now I know how to do it, and I know the people to talk to. And I know a guy who all he does is logistics. And I have just been sending him all my pictures, all my GPS coordinates, and one by one, he's just saying, nope, 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 and nope.
That's very interesting. Back to the station chief, and I do have to take a break in about 3 minutes. Was he familiar I mean, how hard did you go at him? Lost civilizations, archaeology, UFOs under the ice, civilizations. Did you hit him with everything?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything, and I came up with nothing.
And okay.
With him, but he's been at Palmer for 20 years, and he said he's seen the ice shelf on Anvers Island just shrink, so you can see the mountains in the background from the base. And he's like, when I came here 20 years ago, you can see that.
And what was his reaction? Was he familiar with all of these stories?
Yeah, and he just called them stories. He's like, and I showed him my pictures. What is this, sir? And doesn't this mean anything? No. He's like, there's Photoshop. There's ways that you could do this. I've never heard anything like that. And he said, there's no military expeditions. And I said, I was meant to fly out of here and go further afield. He goes, there hasn't been an airstrip landing here in 3 years. And it was only for an emergency evacuation of one of our personnel. So I kind of went into this trip with some bad information. I would have still taken the exact same trip, but now I know a lot more, and now I know how to go further afield. But it's very expensive. It's minimum $50K per person to go on an expedition inland into Antarctica to check any of this out. Now, if I'm given verifiable GPS coordinates, Jimmy, I can run it by the logistics guy, and he will definitely tell me whether you can get there or not. And I've already asked him how to get to Beardmore Glacier, and he said you got to do drops of fuel and supplies on the way, but actually the better logistical way to get there is through McMurdo in East Antarctica.
And I don't see where a plane would fly into Palmer Station. I mean, everything around it is just rocky hills. There isn't any unless a seaplane could fly in, I guess.
And it hasn't been done in over 3 years. Everything comes in by ship.
Right. Okay, we need to take a break right here, and we'll get back to all of this. What I find fascinating. What was the station chief's name?
Bob Farrell. Robert Farrell.
Okay, and so, but he's familiar with all of these conspiracy theories and rumors. It wasn't like you were blindsiding him with this. Am I asking the right way? I mean, he was up on the stories.
He was, and he did tell me some things, and we'll have to pick that up after the break.
Okay, we'll do that right now. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Brad Olsen. Brad just got back from Antarctica. What he found, what he saw, what he heard, all of it is going to happen tonight on Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRAradio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Brad Olsen is with us. He just got back from Antarctica, an amazing trip, an amazing journey, once in a lifetime. And, okay, Brad, you know I've got all the questions that need to be asked right now.
Let's do it.
Do you think that our good station chief down there was a smokescreen? I mean, could there be covert military activity down there? It's a huge continent that he's not aware of, or if he is aware of it, he's not going to tell you.
Of course, there's always a possibility that covert military activity is happening and he doesn't know about it. It is a huge continent. But if they were coming through Palmer, he would have known about it. And if they were coming through Palmer, they were sea-based anyways and not really prepared to go deep into the interior of Antarctica. Was he a smokescreen? I don't think so. He's actually a civilian, and most of the workers there were civilians. They actually work for a private company right out of Colorado here too. In fact, if anybody wants to work at Palmer or any of the American bases, you go through a private company that screens you and then interviews you, and you have to take a physical to go in and work, and then you have to commit to several months being down there, some of them even throughout the winter. So this guy's been the station chief for many years. He's been going down there for 20. I got a good feeling he was not hiding anything from me. And I was asking very pointed questions. And just to give Emery the benefit of the doubt that maybe there is a covert plan with a general, but this guy at Palmer knew nothing about it.
The other side of it, which is you've been researching the Illuminati and secret societies and UFOs and all of the cryptid side of things, most of your professional career. This is what you do.
Yeah.
And you're down there trying to seek these answers. You as a researcher, coming away from this, we're going to continue, obviously, the conversation. But coming away from there, what are you going to do in the future when you hear somebody talk about something going on down in Antarctica? What's going to be your take?
Well, I want to first, of course, hear what they have to say and see if they understand the location that they're talking about. And not to make a fatal mistake by thinking our August up in the northern hemisphere is August down there. It's actually opposite season. So sometimes fundamental mistakes can be made, and that to me would raise a red flag. Because if you don't know the logistics of Antarctica and that it is setting records for cold at the Vostok Station, which is about the same latitude as the Beardmore Glacier, at 86 degrees below zero, that will freeze your skin in a minute, then you don't know much about Antarctica, especially in the off season. And right now is the end. Like the last cruise ships are coming back in middle March. They will not go out again until middle November. So the window of going down there is actually very narrow, only 4 months. And of course, the best month is right around the weeks surrounding the summer solstice, when you get maximum daylight. And we had 23 hours of daylight when we were down towards the Antarctic Circle. That's quite fascinating too.
Now, why? What's the story behind Beardmore?
Beardmore, well, it started with Shackleton and Scott when they were making their trying to make it to the South Pole. There's a mountain there called Mount Epperly that has fossils with ferns in it. And one of the reasons Scott failed to return from the South Pole 35 days after Amundsen from Norway got there first in 1911,
right,
he was so bogged down with fossils that he was carrying back that they couldn't make it to their last supply depot, and they all died. In fact, their bodies are still in the ice, Jimmy. They were just buried in the ice, and they're still there.
Okay, let's.
But there's more to Beardmore too. I can tell you about as well.
Well, okay, go ahead.
So Beardmore is one of the biggest glaciers. It comes down to the Ross Ice Shelf. It empties out. Above it is the Trans-Antarctic Mountain Range, and they're very geothermically active. They've also found dinosaur bones near Beardmore. They come out with the calving of the glaciers, and there's an area near the Beardmore Glacier where they find dinosaur bones. So it had been once a tropical continent, and the East Antarctic side is one of the oldest land masses on Earth, over 3 billion years old, when it broke off from Pangaea, Gondwanaland, and moved down into the position of the South Pole. West Antarctica, where we were, is much newer. That's only 700 million years old, and that's why the mountains are so dramatic there, because that snapped off of southern South America. And it's presumed that there is water channels between both of them. And that's when things start getting interesting, when we start looking beneath the ice. And that's when you talk about the subglacial lakes, which many of them are connected by rivers. When you talk about the water channels that the Nazis discovered, and one of the longest water channels goes through New Schwabenland. So if you know where you're going with U-boats, you can go hundreds of miles into Antarctica underwater and under the ice. And that's where things start getting interesting. And that's when our research really starts to break boundaries from where the other researchers I met down there that were mostly interested in just the natural environment and the animals and weren't so much into these subjects. So it could be that they're just not into it. Others are only there for a season, only for a couple months, and they don't know about it. But there was a UFO sighting the month before we got there at one of the other Argentinian bases. It was called Belgrano 2 base, and it is on East Antarctica side, not too far away from where the New Schwabenland boundaries were. And it was the talk amongst the station personnel. And when my pointed questions got to the UFO under the ice, this marine biologist who was telling me about the ice fish said, oh, well, you know what? We did hear at our other base that there were sightings of orbs and UFOs. So there is paranormal activity going down there, and we heard it from 2 people at the Brown base that they heard from some of their colleagues that there was a sighting.
Did you have any sightings?
We did not, apart from a whale swimming under our boat and thousands of penguins.
So no UFOs.
No UFOs.
Okay, so what happened next? How long were you were at Palmer for 4 hours? Did you have freedom to talk to all of the researchers there?
Well, one of the reasons they only allow 10 boats a year is it's a very serious research facility. And apart from walking through the galley and saying hello to a few people, and then a couple people having time to talk to us, nobody really was allowed to or had time to talk to us. So it was really just Bob Farrell and 2 or 3 other people on the base who we got a chance to speak to.
Where did you go after Palmer?
After Palmer, we set off south towards the Antarctic Circle, and we got within 1 degree of the Antarctic Circle, and we went to the Vernansky base. And to get there, we had to go through an ice field, and we had to take turns with long sticks, shoving away pieces of ice, going very slowly, navigating through some of the ice fields. And we finally got there, and that's where we met the Selma boat, which was the other Polish vessel with the scuba divers on it. And we had a big party that night when we got there. Everybody was really happy to be ashore.
Okay, where's the Vernansky base?
It's on the Palmer Peninsula. It's on an island just off of it. And it's 65.11 degrees south. And you'd find it, it's just above the Antarctic Circle on the western side of Palmer Peninsula. And they had a sauna, and they let us use it. And that's where we did the polar plunge. We even got Emily to jump in and got out real quick, but then we ran to the sauna and got warmed up again.
I can't find the Verdansky research base. They don't have it here. Okay. Man,
you'll find it. It's there.
Oh, there it is.
South of Palmer.
Okay, I got it. Okay, is that as far south as you guys went?
Yeah, we did actually navigate a bit further south to go up north when we were leaving to go to the Lemire Channel, and that's also called the Kodak Gap. It's so picturesque and so beautiful that you can only go through it certain times a year, and oftentimes the big cruise ships can't make it through because there's too many icebergs. But when we got in there, there were whales breaching out of the water, penguins swimming alongside us, and just dramatic mountains and glaciers coming into a channel that was only 1 kilometer wide and 15 kilometers long. So it was really amazing to get through it. We tried it once, and it was too clogged with ice. And then we came back several days later, and we got through it.
And did you get a chance to talk okay, so you partied at Verdansky.
But I talked to some researchers, too, including the station chief.
Okay, so what'd you find out?
So he did say something about hearing about researchers going missing. And this is something, a reoccurring subject we've heard that some scientists were off in the field and went missing, and then they came back and they're ashen-faced. He had heard about that through some of the Russian colleagues. Now, the stories that we've heard, mainly through Linda and some of her insiders, those I think were the Americans, but so it happened with Russia too. So people are going down there and seeing something very shocking, very amazing, and they don't wish to talk about it when they come out. And that's about all the station chief there could tell me.
Was he familiar with, the Nazi submarine bases and UFO activity and the pyramid?
Well, the pyramid, I'll tell you the story on that. But this particular chief, he was from the Ukraine, and his English wasn't very good. So there may have been some lost in translation moments. My best communication was at the Argentinian base, at the Polish Arctowski base, because they all spoke English pretty well, but especially on the Palmer base, because we were all native English speakers. Now, regarding the pyramid, at least the one in the Ellsworth Range that we often see images of, I sent you a copy if you want to put it up.
Yes.
That one is called a nunatak. And what that means is it's an interesting rock formation that comes out of the ice. So I talked to my logistics person who does trips down there, and he was going to try to find out if anybody climbed it. But so far, he's insisting that it's only a natural formation. But I said, do you know anybody that's climbed it? Anybody who's investigated it? He thinks somebody has, but he wasn't sure. So he couldn't categorically deny that it couldn't possibly have been sculpted or human made, but he tended to believe that it was just a very attractive feature on the ice.
What did you see throughout this trip that raised an eyebrow for you that didn't quite fit, the natural side of things?
Well, for one, the scenery is very stark. With a blue sky day and a blue ocean reflecting, the black mountains and the white snow, those are the only three colors you see. It's kind of like when you scuba dive, you lose all the reds and the greens and the oranges. And eventually, if you go deep enough scuba diving, all you see is blue, black, and white. And that was the same thing above water in Antarctica. Even the animals, like the penguins and the seals and the whales, are black and white. Everything is black, white, and blue there. And it's really amazing if you step back and look at it. It's like, wow, I've never seen a landscape like this. It's just so bleak because there's nothing green. There's nothing growing. There's only tiny little mosses and lichen are the only fauna that grow there, and the only flora, and the only fauna are very tiny little mites, are the only land animals that live there. Of course, penguins and seals do go on the land, but they're migratory and they don't stay for the winter too often. Or if they do, like the emperor penguins, they huddle together and they're generally on the ice shelves. So that was dramatic to me.
But nothing out of place for you.
Nothing out of place that I didn't expect. I mean, I often said we're going to try to go afield, but maybe we won't get past the penguins. And that was generally the case. But what I did find out, and this is absolutely true 100%, there are no-fly zones in Antarctica. Even though it's a biopreserve and everybody should be allowed access, especially at the South Pole, there are no-fly regions. And just the other day I was on the set Beyond Belief with George, and we were talking about it, and George is like, well, why would they have a no-fly zone over the South Pole? Nobody goes there. And I'm like, you're absolutely right, George. There should be no reason for a no-fly zone because nobody does go there. And the way they even get their supplies is they bring them up with snowcats driving up from McMurdo across the base like a long train of supplies. So flights there are extremely rare. So to enforce a no-fly zone, like George Norrie said, it just doesn't make any sense. But indeed, it's there, and that is the reported opening over the South Pole, the big opening that Admiral Byrd said he flew a plane into. It was big enough to lap around and fly out of. So there are mysteries down there. Don't get me wrong. I was on the trail to find whatever I could, and I would say the no-fly zone over South America was about up there with the sighting over the Belgrano 2 base in December of orbs and disk.
Now, what are we going to do with this? What do you? Okay, let's as we lead into the next segment here. Where are you with this now that you're back and you went around and asked the questions and saw what you saw? Where are you?
Well, I'm about to go to several conferences, the Beyond the Matrix in a week, and then Human Origins right after that, 5D Las Vegas in April, and then Contact in the Desert. I'm on the Antarctica discussion panel with Emery Smith, with Linda Moulton Howe, and with Dr. Michael Salla. 3 of the premier researchers in this field. I'm the only one that's been down there. So I'm an Antarctica realist because I understand the lay of the land now. And I understand what the Antarctica Treaty will allow and will not allow people to do. So I understand the very fundamentals of what it takes to go down there. And I'm all ears when somebody says, hey, we have some new information about a giant basalt black craft in the Beardmore Glacier. But if the only evidence is somebody's hand drawing and they say they went there in August, I say I'm going to need a little more proof than that. Because I know where the Beardmore Glacier is, and it's at about 85 degrees south, which is very southern latitude. It's right on the way to the South Pole. So it's one of the most difficult places to access. And I know the researchers that are going down there that are looking for meteorites, because Antarctica is one of the best places to find meteorites. It's like a giant white tableau. So when they come down, they just stand out right there on the polar plateau, as well as finding the dinosaur bones around Beardmore. So one of the things I asked Bob Farrell at the station, if I were to go there, if I wanted to go to the dry valleys or do some research, when would I go? And he said, absolutely only go in the summer. Why would you ever want to go in the middle of winter? It makes no sense. You'd be risking your life. Plus, it's dark almost all the time. So I would look for those very fundamental mistakes people might make if they're making up a story. And hey, we know a lot of great storytellers, Jimmy, but we're devoted to the truth. And I have to follow that. And, there was nothing more that I wanted to do than come back and say, I found the 3-mile disc. Here's my video footage. Let's play it. But that wasn't the case. And unfortunately, I couldn't find anybody to verify the big 3-mile disc that we've heard so much about. I have a couple locations I could probably say are the likely places it could be, but it's all speculation. And until we get some really hardcore footage, like a selfie, hey, here's me and I'm at the Beardmore and I'm going about walking into the craft and something like that, not a hand drawing, I'm a little dubious.
How are you going to handle yourself on that panel?
I'm just going to be honest, and I want to talk to all 3 of these people ahead of time, because each one of them has said something that I disagree with. And I just want to tell them face to face, I don't agree with what you said. Linda, with this guy saying he went to Beardmore and found a craft there in August, I said that's very impractical. All the experts I talked to would disagree with the logistics of going there in August. Michael Salla has said that that the ice is only 12,000 years old, and I'll tell him, I talked to scientists who are doing the ice core sampling, and it's like tree ring dating. It can be very exact. You can see when volcanoes erupted thousands of years ago, and it's a record in the ice, which is over 2 miles deep. Antarctica is essentially a desert, Jimmy. It hardly snows at all during the year. So for 2 miles of ice to accumulate has taken a long time, and the ice core samples show that it is actually millions of years old. So I would just tell them that, and of course Emery with the general, that he kind of embarrassed me by saying I had to find this person, but maybe there is a general. I don't know. I don't think so. Not from Palmer.
the community has been asking these questions for a very long time. And to go down there and talk about things like a no-fly zone, well, the first thing that comes to mind is if there's no military presence down there, who enforces a no-fly zone?
Correct. And that's what George Norrie brought up, too, is why would you even have a no-fly zone if there's hardly any planes? There's certainly no planes starting now until November. There are a few tourist planes that will go down there that have to get permission ahead of time, but they can't go through this no-fly zone. And then who's going to enforce it, too? Yeah.
Eric just posted up, Bob Farrell works for Lockheed Martin.
Well, maybe it's a different Bob Farrell.
No, it says right here, Palmer Area Manager at Lockheed Martin, Antarctic Support Contract.
Is it out of Colorado Springs?
Englewood, Colorado.
Okay, then maybe Lockheed has a connection. It is a private craft. I thought he told me it was a different name that hires people that he works for, but he comes back every winter. He should be on his way back now soon, so maybe he also works for Lockheed.
So where are you? Okay, when I say where are you now, I mean, you just answered that very well, but also, are you now? Are you getting a little more skeptical about what's going on or what has gone on down in Antarctica?
Well, I think I have to be, because I just couldn't come up with a whole lot of corroborating evidence, and this is from people who know the continent very well, that are making their lives out of either traveling there and taking people and studying logistics, or station managers or researchers. And unfortunately, I came back with a big nothing burger, apart from the sighting at Belgrano 2 that we heard about and the no-fly zone over the South Pole. That's really all I have that I could say corroborates with some of the big stories that we hear are going on down there.
And now, okay, we're going to head towards a break, but over the last couple of years, without naming names, I'm not going to go there. I don't do that. But there were reports of archaeological digs and finds that were happening down there right now.
Right.
Any evidence of that whatsoever?
No. Nobody knew anything about that. And I did name names, and I know exactly who you're talking about, and I even showed some slides of that reconstruction, and the people I showed it to just kind of shook their head and said, well, we don't know about it. We don't know. It may be, but it may be not.
Very interesting. Okay, let's take a break right here. Man, you know, in a weird way, Brad, probably the same for you. In a weird way, of course, I'm hugely disappointed, right? I was hoping you were going to come back with some positive news out of Antarctica. But on the other side, it allows us to clear our heads a little bit and to step back and reassess the situation. That's all. It's better to have some answers. They may not be what you want, but if the answers are there, then we can move on and look into other areas. That doesn't say, that's not to say that the ice isn't going to melt and we're going to see a lost city, right? We'll be right back. This is Fade to Black.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest, Brad Olsen, who just got back from Antarctica. And it's a full account, full recap of his journey down there. And obviously, Brad went in search of lost civilizations, UFOs, Nazi technology, and maybe some civilizations underneath the ice that have been there for a long time. Much rumored to be down there. Brad, I'm looking at some of the images that you went down there, to confront people with, and one of them is this the ancient civilization shot. What kind of reactions did you get from those in Antarctica when you showed them this image?
Yeah, I did show that to the station chief at Palmer, and he's like, that's interesting. And he agreed with me that nature does not create 90-degree angles like that. I think he kind of just dismissed it as, well, maybe it's a freak of the ice. He didn't really go into it too much. Maybe he just didn't want to talk about this stuff. I don't know. His job is more to monitor the station and work with the scientists, and to him, these were like fringe subjects, and you'd think he'd be very interested in anything that was Antarctica related, but he didn't seem to really. He kind of dismissed everything that I brought his way.
Do you think you were one of the first people down there going into Palmer Station asking about UFOs?
Oh, it sure seemed like it, because he was kind of, whoa, where'd you find that? Oh, Google Earth. Oh, okay, yeah. He thought maybe people can manufacture stuff on Google Earth too. I don't think that's always the case, but there was a possibility that maybe a relic somehow slipped in there.
What part of Antarctica was this ancient civilization grabbed from?
That is down where the missing scientists were, which is off on the East Antarctica side, on the other side of the Ross Ice Shelf from McMurdo, around where Little America was originally set up as the first research station. It's inland from there, and it's also pretty close to that location where Linda Moulton Howe has reported some missing scientists were off on an expedition. So it's kind of funny that there are some data points that do point to this, but maybe people there's a possibility that Bob Farrell had a gag order, that he couldn't talk about it or wouldn't talk about it. I kind of thought he was authentic with me and would look me in the eye. And you know how it is when you're face to face with someone, you can kind of gauge whether they don't want to talk about something. He kind of was very forward when I asked him a pointed question, but it's also possible they don't know about certain things either. And it is a big continent, and you access the inland eastern Antarctica from a different point than Palmer. So his perspective, it's kind of like if you wear rose-colored glasses, you see the world with a rose tint, and his tint was just this area of Palmer Peninsula.
So what do we do with those out there that are going to say, Brad was just fed disinfo, that they were instructed to tell him this, that Brad went to the wrong places, that the Nazi stuff was somewhere else, that this, we have information that this has been going on for a long time, and we can't base, what are we going to do with that? This is going to start to come at you.
And that's fine. And all I can say is I just did my best to try to uncover this stuff. And maybe I didn't spend enough time there. Maybe I needed to go further afield. Maybe I need to go to Eastern Antarctica through McMurdo and talk to people there. I have a friend that did work at McMurdo, and I spoke to him before my trip, and he was there when Kerry went through, and he said it was a big hubbub. But they didn't know where he was going. They didn't know the itinerary of the Secretary of State on Election Day, or when all these other notables went down there, or what they were up to. It's real easy to create a cover story, and I'm not going to say I know everything about it. And I want to put together as many data points as I can. And if some things start to show that maybe some scientists did go missing in this area, which is close to where some of these Google Earth images show what could be an underground or lost civilization, then we have to go with that. And the thing is with Antarctica, Jimmy, it's almost like looking at Mars and trying to piece together the anomalies of the red planet. It's very difficult when it's so inaccessible and it's so difficult to find really good information to corroborate the claims. Antarctica is just the same. In fact, they practice the Mars rover in some of the dry valleys near McMurdo because it is so dry and so inhospitable and cold that it's much like an alien planet there.
Yeah, and McMurdo, okay, how many? You went to 3 stations, right?
6.
Oh, you went to 6?
Yeah.
Okay. And were they all about the same size?
All about the same size. Yes, certain had different functions or different buildings. Arctowski had like a greenhouse building that was kind of cool. Palmer was far more well-funded and a lot bigger in the science research part, where the Chilean and the Argentinian base were kind of scaled down, didn't have the funding like we had. And Vernansky was actually a British base that was handed over to the Ukrainians for 1 English pound. And they have that English pound enshrined in the Faraday bar in Vernansky, the southernmost bar in the world that we got to party at one night. It was a lot of fun.
So same questions at each one of these stations is what
Absolutely.
I'm getting at. Same questions.
Absolutely. I even forego climbing a hill or going off to see penguins or doing things the other people in our group were doing just to talk to the researchers and ask these pointed questions. It was the whole reason I went down there. And believe me, I'm the most disappointed of all that I didn't come back with something earth-shaking. But I'm not saying it can't be there. There's a lot of possibilities. And then when you consider Antarctica is the most geothermically active continent in the planet with 91 active volcanoes, that we even saw some of this activity at Deception Island, the possibility of giant caverns underneath the ice is a very real possibility. In fact, it's a fact. It's there. And how to access them and what could be going on down there, well, that's the speculation that we wish to try to see some really hard evidence. Rather than paintings and drawings, let's see photos and videos, and then we can start talking about seriously about antediluvian civilizations or New World Order bases under the ice, including the Nazi bases. I'll tell you this, Jimmy, one of the Google Earth images, and I sent you the Conan base, is some giant machine-like structure under the ice. And in 2013, if you use the Wayback Machine on Google Earth, you can see it, that image I sent you. Now it's buried under ice, and you just see a bunch of like poles sticking out that are drifting ice. But in 2013, there was an airstrip there, and there's this big giant machine, and that would be one of my top 3 places where some kind of alien craft or antediluvian craft might be located. And when I was doing my GPS research before the trip, I found the research coordinates for the Conan base, and it matched up exactly where this is. So the Germans, of all people, they never left after World War II, by the way. I got the National Geographic map pre-Berlin Wall in 1986, was the National Geographic map, and West Germany has 2 bases there. They never left. They've always been there. And that was fascinating to me to find that out. And that their inland base, this Conan base, Konhen, was located exactly where this craft can be located on Google Earth.
Yeah, I've looked at all of the years of this base, and I watched it get constructed. I saw it before the airstrip, and you can go back quite a ways and see this. It's pretty interesting. I still don't know what to make of the Conan base. There's some information out there on it, but it is strange compared to what it looks like today, buried under the ice and the snow, and to see all of the track marks going back and forth from what was the old base camp. What were they doing, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You could see it. And then, what is in the ice now are just those little black dots with the windswept ice behind it, and it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure still what to make of the Conan base.
Yeah, and there are data points that are showing real high strange areas of Antarctica. And now that I've been there, and now that I know the logistics of traveling there, it kind of puts it all in perspective, because somebody's putting a lot of effort going into the interior of Antarctica up on the polar plateau to go see this thing, whatever it is. It's not easy, it's not cheap, and it's very cold and inhospitable to go there. But obviously people are going there because there's an airstrip, and you can even see footprints going out to see it and stuff, that someone's making the investment to research this. But this is what trickles out. We only get kind of little tidbits of the full story. So if we were to get the full picture, like what exactly is this thing under the ice, let's see a research paper on it. Or maybe the people I talked to, they just didn't know about it. I mean, some of this stuff you and I have known about for years, Jimmy, but they didn't. So maybe I just wasn't talking to the right people, but that's all I had the opportunity to talk to. So if I were to answer my critics before they even jump on me, it's, hey, I tried my best. If anybody wanted to discover it, it was me. And I'm just telling you, this is all I could find.
Well, 6 stations, and your report, I guess, is no, nope.
Well, except for the sighting over Belgrano 2 base and absolute confirmation there is a no-fly zone over the region of South Pole that is reported to have a massive hole under the ice.
What are we going to do with this? You know, that, I mean, I think that's the ultimate question here, Brad. What are we going to do? And obviously, we need to get back there. Would you go to McMurdo next? I mean, McMurdo's huge. That's a city.
Yeah, they call it MacTown. It is a city. It's the largest base on the continent. I would go, and that is the way you would access Beardmore Glacier. And I'm certainly interested in the Antarctic mountain range. I would go there if there was an expedition and I was asked to come along. I don't think I'd pay $50K to do it. I'd probably rather save that money and buy a house in Tahoe that I want to do. But I would go back. I would. It's a fascinating continent, but let me tell you, it is hard travel. And now I've been to all 7 continents, and bar none, Antarctica is the hardest trip I've ever made somewhere.
And why is it $50K? Can't you just take are there any boats that come out of Argentina and go over to McMurdo?
Well, McMurdo is accessed on the other side of the world through, most planes come in via New Zealand, whereas if you were going to, say, the Neumayer 2 base, which is also a German base and has been since West Germany times, you'd come in via South Africa. So it's just what landmass is closest to what part of the continent you wanted to access. So it would be a trip to New Zealand first, a flight to McMurdo, and then flying afield from there to go to Beardmore or another location on the Antarctic Peninsula. You can go via Palmer to the Union Glacier, is where this expedition group has a base camp, and then go to the Ellesmere Range, or the Shackleton Range is another reported area where there are pyramid-like Nunatak mountains, or maybe they are perhaps fashioned by human or ET. But the first one they told me about in the Ellesmere Range that we've seen so much of, they said that's just nothing but an attractive rock sticking out of the ice.
So are there, can you only fly to McMurdo, I guess is what I'm asking, or are there boats that leave New Zealand and fly or and sail down there? It looks like it's about the same distance from Argentina to McMurdo.
Well, from New Zealand, it's actually much farther to sail or take a boat. Almost everybody would fly. You can fly from Puerto Arenas, Chile, to King George Island, to the Russian base there. And a lot of people prefer to do that because then they don't have to sail over the Drake, and then they catch a cruise ship out of King George Island and do their sailing trip there, and then just fly back to South America. But 90+% of all visitors that go to Antarctica just go to this Palmer Peninsula region where I visited. It's very, very rare to go afield, and that's where the price tag goes way up. We did our trip for $6,000 a person, and that was about the lowest you'll ever find for the amount of time that we were there. Cruise ships will start around the 6 range, and they're only in Antarctica for 6 days. We had 15 full days in Antarctica, and they'll also they get over the Drake Channel in 2 days. That's one advantage of being on a cruise ship. But they don't have a Zodiac that can zip around icebergs and kind of a reckless crew that allowed us to go climb on the icebergs. That's kind of unheard of. Or to just go ashore and see a penguin colony and go up and explore around and photograph. So we had kind of unbridled access to anywhere we wanted to go, but we were just in this very small region of a very large continent.
Yeah, looking at McMurdo, it is, I don't know, is there 1,000 people there?
I think in the summer there is, and all bases shrink to about 10 or 20% in the winter. So starting now, people are getting ready to leave.
Right. But it's $50,000
to go afield. So some of the trips that this expedition group that I'm talking to does, they will fly you to the South Pole. They'll even fly you to 1 degree before the South Pole, so 89 degrees south, and for 1 week you cross-country ski to the South Pole. You cannot go through that no-fly zone. And I remember about 10 years ago, I was reading in Nexus magazine, and there were some women from New Zealand that wanted to cross-country across, and they were coming into this region, and the Navy SEALs came out and intercepted them and said, you cannot do it. You can cross-country ski across Antarctica. You just cannot access this one region of the South Pole. And that is an absolute fact. There's no conspiracy involved in that at all.
If you were to go back, where would you go?
I would go to the Beardmore Glacier, Trans-Antarctic Mountains, some of the volcanoes, Mount Elbrus, not too far from McMurdo. Some of the ice caves I think would be fascinating to explore. I'd also like to go to New Schwabenland. I'd like to go to regions of Antarctica I haven't been to before.
And what about the pyramid? Is it possible to get to it?
It is indeed, and they say they fly over it. The one in the Ellsworth range, but there's another one that I told him about in the Shackleton range, closer to eastern Antarctica and very close to the Belgrano 2 base, that he didn't know much about. And then I've heard of a third pyramid that I've charted out, which is kind of down more towards McMurdo, but off on the eastern Antarctica coastline out that way. So I have 3 locations, but one of them has been told to me it's nothing more than just an attractive rock sticking through the ice.
And there was also reports of an astronaut that recently got airlifted out of there. Did you find that? Yeah, did you find out about that?
Can we name names?
Yes.
Mr. Buzz Aldrin.
Yes.
Yeah, he was medevaced out of there. In fact, he was down there around the time that our Secretary of State John Kerry was there on Election Day in 2016. And what was so interesting is that Buzz Aldrin allegedly tweeted, quote, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself," end quote. And then he took it down straight away. But there were enough screen captures of that tweet to make people believe that he really did write that. And then it's interesting that he was medevaced out of there shortly after.
Well, that actually came from a fake account. It wasn't from his.
Oh, it wasn't?
You know, he's got a verified account. That came from an unverified. It looks, same picture, same, all of that.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't actually from his account. I got all excited. I retweeted that. Are you kidding? I mean, I was all over it. And for our community, what can you say to the community right now? You're breaking hearts.
and which is understandable, which including my own. But what do you say to the community right now?
Well, I'm not the end-all, be-all. I'm not saying that what I found is definitive. I'm saying it's going to take a lot more work. I think we all need to be vigilant. We all have to also realize that people can make up stories too. And just like you informed me that this was a fake tweet, there are people out there that are willing to spin a yarn or create fake Twitter accounts to take advantage of a situation like Buzz Aldrin being down there and people being gullible. So we just have to be vigilant. And if there are red flags in someone's story, then probably we shouldn't take that much with more than a grain of salt. But the possibility is open. And I am not ruling out that there could still be a major craft under the ice, that there could be antediluvian civilization, that there could be a pyramid. I only spent 3.5 weeks total, and some of that time was going down there. So I only scraped the tip of the proverbial iceberg.
Right.
And there's a lot more to do. So I just think we all need to be vigilant. I'm very open. If anybody wants to share information with me or run a location by me, I have accumulated quite a bit of information on the continent and have a pretty good idea what it takes to get to certain places in that continent. But I'm not the end-all, be-all. I'm just very curious like you are. And now I have the perspective of actually being there, and that does help in certain aspects regarding what it takes to make trips into the interior.
Yeah, my take hasn't changed even with you being on the show. This is my take. My take is that the possibility of a civilization living on Antarctica, I'm talking about a long time ago, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000 years ago. And then Antarctica moved and it went into the position that it's in now and froze over. When that ice melts, and it will someday, it may reveal something that would absolutely change the way that we look at our planet. If we find a city underneath the ice, then that's going to rewrite it, and it has to be, and that's what I think is down there. Do I subscribe to Nazi UFO bases, and contacts with? I don't know. I don't know if I can go there necessarily, but I do want to believe. I do. Admiral Byrd is another situation altogether. There's questions about those quotes that were released, and it's just a tough situation to find ourselves in. And then why go down there with so many boats and soldiers? What was the point of that if it was just a research expedition? I don't know, Brad. I think we have more questions than answers now.
And we just need to be vigilant. And we need to collect data points. And it's just like if you were doing research on Mars, as I mentioned earlier. It's a very difficult place to go to. And a lot of different stories are churning around. And we just have to be the one who basically churns it all in and hopefully regurgitate something that is comprehensible and true. And I'm just sticking with that, Jimmy. I'm only going to say what I know, that people told me, and what I can verify in my own way. I'm not going to go over any boundaries, nor am I going to step on anyone's toes. If other researchers are finding that some of these insider stories are credible, I'll listen to them. Maybe they'll raise a few red flags, but I can only judge on what I know and what I see and hard evidence. Much like Richard Dolan, he says, you got to give me hard evidence before I'm going to go for some of this information. And unfortunately, I have to be the same way and say, we got to have some really good documentation to make this stuff stick.
Well, Brad, different from me, you were there. That's the difference, man. And you were there. I was not, and it's a very rare situation to go down there and ask these
very difficult questions, which you did. And I thank you for that. And I'm glad that you and Emily made it back safe. And again, congratulations from Rita and I to the both of you. That is a fantastic part to all of this. And then when we get you back on, we'll talk about your trip in South America. We didn't even get to it tonight. Thank you so much, Brad. Be safe and be well.
Oh, thank you so much, Jimmy. It was great to be on, and always a pleasure to talk to you, and look forward to seeing you at Contact in the Desert.
You got that right. You know I'm going to introduce you. I'll talk to you.
All right, buddy.
Brad Olsen. And now Brad is easy to get to right there on Twitter, CCCP Publishing, right there on Twitter. Go and follow him. And BradOlsen.com, too, as well. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to open up the phone lines. It's my first night back. I'm all better. So I'll take some of your phone calls, too, after this short break. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi folks, CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numana Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numana banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, kicking back. It's my first night back. I'm all comfy in my chair. I want to thank Brad Olsen for coming in strong. Just spent a couple of weeks down in Antarctica, and he's been back for 2 weeks and coming on tonight to give us the full report. Going to 6 research stations and walking in going, hey, I'm here to talk about UFOs and underground bases and UFOs under the ice and pyramids and lost civilizations. What's going on down here? That takes a lot of courage. And, okay, he may not have come back with the answers that he was seeking, but he was there. And I just find it very interesting. I do. I find it very, very interesting. And with that, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Good evening, Jimmy. It's Eric.
Hey, Eric. Man. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling better. I'm looking forward to I'm going to hang out with Brad here in a few days at that Sedona conference, Beyond the Matrix. And so I'm looking forward to talking to him. I haven't really sat down with him yet and asked him a lot of questions because I wanted to hear what he had to say tonight. But I think what Brad did, actually, he uncovered, in my opinion, and you're probably thinking the same thing right now, is this Bob Farrell is a big clue because I just don't get the feeling that whether Bob knew more or he didn't, I just think there's a rabbit hole there that somebody needs to climb in with his background with Raytheon and Colorado and all that. I mean, do you get that feeling? Does that kind of strike you as a possibility?
Well, look, Raytheon and Lockheed, two defense contractors that hold an awful lot of secrets and have been developing black projects for the United States for decades. It's what they do. So to get hired in by Raytheon or Lockheed, you're going through a pretty extensive background check. And they're also looking for things out of you performance-wise and to hold to a pretty high standard. And one of those is to keep your mouth shut. Okay, that's a fact. And if this guy Farrell, and I'm not saying anything because I didn't meet the guy, but if he was out there running his mouth about things, secret projects of the military or things underneath the ice, he's unemployed. Whether they're true or not, right? You can't just run your mouth. And so he's got to toe the company line. There's no question about that, Eric. And so a guy like that with that kind of background, do you expect him to spill everything over to some guy that just floated literally in on a boat? No, of course not. But what about the others? He went to 6 different stations. Why didn't one person come up and start whispering in his ear? Okay, I heard you're asking, about, and yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on here. Why didn't that happen one time? And I'll tell you right now, Brad would absolutely be singing like a bud. He would.
Yeah.
I know Brad. I know Brad really, really, really well, and I just know that if anything like that happened, he would be telling us, and it didn't happen. And I just find that a little bit weird that not one person, 6 research stations. And what about the civilians on shore in Argentina? He was out there doing this and nobody said anything. I find that strange.
Well, I mean, I just want to share this and of course I just call myself a junior researcher. But in my personal experiences, what I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years is a lot of times if you're approaching a person or a subject or topic that's sensitive, and you're asking those questions like Brad was answering, you're most of the time you're not going to get any answers or very few answers the first time. But if you go back, like if Brad ever goes back, if he were to try to build a relationship, some of these people that maybe didn't tell him anything this time might grow to trust him a little and feel comfortable. Maybe, I'm just saying that's a possibility.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fantastic that he was there. Yeah. I mean, what an unbelievable once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was going to go, as you probably might remember. Yeah, I know. We all wanted to go.
Glad I didn't go because I got so sick twice since he's been there. I've been sick, and I'm just thinking, man, if I was on that boat and I was sick, I don't know, man. I don't think I would have. That would have been a disaster for me health-wise. So I just kind of glad. I mean, I wish I could have gone, but maybe next time.
Well, we'll see. And he's going to go sit on the Antarctica panel there at Contact in the Desert. And boy, is that going to get heated. I don't know who's hosting that panel, but they're lucky it's not me. And there you go. All right. Thank you so much,
Eric. Can I mention one more quick thing? I don't know unless you want to jump to another call.
Well, I've got calls on hold. Yes, go ahead.
I'll make it quick. Okay, so this is not to try to throw anybody under the bus or try to hype up the story, but in the very beginning, as you might remember, there was an investor that was going to invest in this project, that this expedition that Brad went on, and we talked to Emery about this because Emery was going to try to help us.
Okay,
and,
be very careful on the words
careful,
you are about to say.
Yeah, I'm not going to lay it out there exactly the way I heard it. I'm just going to kind of filter it. But the point, and this is not to make Emery look good or bad or anything. It's just that there was a very large number that came back that it was going to require to be put out in order for Emery and his team to go with Brad and this guy, and potentially I was going to go if that was going to happen. I was really serious about going. I think the number probably scared away the investor, or at least made him shy away. But it was the way it was put out there was that Emery had this contact, and it's whether it's real or not, I don't know. But the point is I got the feeling that unless Emery was there and could introduce this contact to Brad personally, it wasn't going to happen. So Brad went down there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, yeah. Eric, thank you so much. Have a safe trip to Sedona.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Awakening man. I almost said Brad. Eric, awakening man right there. And very interesting. To get down to a research station like that and find that it's not, a military base, and that there's a very limited staff there, and there isn't any type of military hierarchy there, a staff with a general and colonels and captains and majors and COs and, the whole thing. And you find out that it's just a handful of civilian researchers there doing real research with fish. Yeah, that's it's kind of a drag. All right, let's go. Let's go. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Well,
you're live.
Matt. It's Matt, the geologist from Potsdam.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Oh, not bad. I've made it almost up to episode 20 since you told me to start watching, man.
Right on. Everything good? What's on your mind tonight, Matt?
It was a great show. This Brad character, I'm really happy to see some people actually going to these places to see with their own eyes,
There's no question about it.
You hear a lot of the stories, and it's like, man, I want to go to Antarctica and see this.
I wouldn't do it on a 73-foot boat. I mean, that is crazy. That a sailboat too, as well. I mean, no way. If it was 73 feet, it would have to be like a catamaran. I mean, 73 feet. It sounds big. It's not. I mean, it's a nice size. It's a nice size boat if you're in Marina Del Rey and you want to cruise out to Catalina. That's a fun boat and throw your friends on it. To go from the tip of Argentina to Antarctica Ain't no way, man. And I'm a pretty seasoned sailor, you know, and it's a fun boat to get on, but 73 feet to me, battling those waves, no, I wouldn't do it. He's very courageous.
You've been on the ocean?
What's that?
You've been into the ocean a good distance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely I have. I've sunk a boat
I've heard you talk about traveling in different directions. It's awesome.
Yeah. I've sunk a boat or two in my day, so I know what it's like.
Sunk a couple too.
Well, you know, and this is the thing. When you hear this from Brad, are you bummed out, Matt? You know, he didn't come back with tales of aliens and underground cities.
No, not at all. This only inspires me to do my work slightly differently.
There you go.
Everything that he heard from everyone there, they were completely and definitely instructed or most likely trained to talk that way.
Yeah,
it's almost like how you have an onion. You know, you got to peel back the layers before you find the people that are behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Matt.
It's cool, man. Like you said, he scratched the surface.
He went. I haven't got Antarctica, you know, and I doubt that I make it in my lifetime. And that's absolutely amazing that he can come back and share that experience with all of us.
Yeah,
thank you.
And $50 grand's not much. I'd put like 200 or 300 down, and my plan would be to take 2 ships and have them sail different directions to see how long it takes to meet up.
Oh, I didn't ask him about the flat Earth. Oh, man. All right, Matt. Have a great night, man. Thank you for the phone call.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, Matt. Matt from Potsdam, right there. And I didn't ask about the flat Earth. I can't believe I let that one go. I forgot about the flat Earth. And let me line up a couple of. Let me get the stuff going. Yeah, I didn't ask about the flat Earth. How dumb of me. I didn't ask about the flat Earth. All right, let's go right now. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Rob from Tacoma.
Hi, Rob from Tacoma. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So what did you think?
I have not been listening to the show. In fact, I'm a first-time listener, first-time caller. So you'll have to bear with me.
So how did you know to call in right now if you weren't listening?
I saw a tweet from JV Knight on Twitter.
Oh, okay. She was on with us like 3-4 weeks ago.
Nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
So what's on your mind tonight, Matt?
Well, first of all, I guess this is sort of like a litmus test, but what do you feel about the Venezuela thing?
What do I feel about Venezuela?
Yeah, the whole U.S. involvement with the regime, you know, trying to
One word, Rob. Oil.
Yeah.
Oil.
Now, do you petrodollar?
Yeah, it's oil. It's all about oil. That's the only reason why we're concerned about Venezuela is oil.
For sure, but also because of their rejection of the petrodollar as well.
Oil.
Yeah, oil.
Yeah. The petrodollar is oil. Trading is oil. They seized all of the American oil companies down there and put them under government ownership and control. And so there's that part. And, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on the planet, more than Saudi Arabia. The largest oil reserves on the planet. Okay, that's the end of the story, and that's it. That's it. That's what our interests are. That the regime change down there is, and we want to open it up for American companies. We want We want that oil to go straight across the Gulf of Mexico, straight into Miami and Texas. That's it. I mean, Louisiana and hit all the refineries there, and that's what we want. And that's the end of the story. I mean, there's nothing else to say about Venezuela than that. If somebody else can come up with something, I'm all ears. But we're not. If Maduro was playing nice with his oil with us and taking care of business, there would be no regime change. We could care less.
Well, let's get into the reason I really wanted to talk to you.
Well, make it really quick, Rob. I've got to get to some more calls. Real quick, what is it?
Hollow moon.
Hollow moon is possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I agree.
It's possible.
I agree.
It's possible.
The thing, it's an anomaly. That thing is an anomaly. And the fact that it is the exact same size to our eyes as the sun seems to be a ridiculous coincidence.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. And also, and how it was created is even stranger, at least what we are told. Hey, Rob, first-time caller, thank you so much, my friend.
Oh, well, great to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. That's a great phone call right there. And a lot like, well, okay, just to sum things up, Venezuela, oil. Now, the moon, and the more that I research us and our universe and our solar system, our moon is very, very unique. Very unique. Very unique. Is it hollow? Don't know. Is it artificial? Don't know. Why haven't we been back? Don't know. We're allegedly going back. Okay. For what? I don't know. And then today, NASA announces that they've got 12 teams, $8 million of financing to go and study moon samples that haven't been touched in 50 years. Was that locked away? Come on. All right. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Oh, my God, it's me. Hi, it's David. It's in Virginia.
Hi, David in Virginia. What's on your mind?
You caught me by surprise. What's on my mind is, I got to tell you, I've missed half of your show, the new phone numbers. I don't know, I've missed a lot. But let me ask you about what I want to tell you about.
Okay, David, we're at the end of the show. You gotta be ready to go when I answer the phone. So let's get to it before we run out of time.
All right. Well, I wanted to let you know.
I can't wait for you, David. Sorry, man. You got to call. You got to be prepared when you call into Fade to Black. When you call into Fade to Black, like any other show, be ready to go. Have your thoughts together, know what you want to say, and get ready because there's other people on hold, like this person right here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Alberto Tellez calling you from Mexico. How are you, Jimmy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good. I was listening to your show here in Monterrey, Mexico. I was listening to Charlene, who was a girl that was saying that your phone or our phones are recording everything that we are speaking, no matter if we are speaking with our parents, with our friends, with our family. And not only that, I mean, Google is recording every word that you are typing on your phone. That's why I guess, Jimmy, that there are countries like like China or maybe another country that don't let Google to enter to the country because there is a very important thing for those countries in order to keep the security or in order to keep the people safe. And this is happening not only in the States but also in Mexico, and I guess in all the Central America countries and South America countries.
And see, this is, and thank you for bringing that up. And I talk about this all the time. And it's not just, people think about, recording voice or text. People don't understand that Google owns the cell phone market, and they own Chrome. They own Android. They own the internet. They own the search engine. They own how you search. They own the marketing and the advertising. They own it all. They know everything that you do every step of the way. And that's with even the regulations that we have here in the United States. You get outside of the United States to a country like Mexico or smaller countries, or go to South America, or just go to another country where the regulations are different. And they've got a lot more freedom to do a lot more. There isn't anybody in those countries to handle the regulations that it would take to monitor a company like Google that is truly global. And they own every step of the way. And we need to be aware of that. Unfortunately, Alberto, and this is the truth, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. There's not a whole lot we can do. What are we going to do? Stop using cell phones? Right?
Yes.
Stop using the internet.
You're right.
Who's going to stop? Who's going to stop using Google? Right? I mean,
Hey, Jimmy, and by the way, I want to say hello to all those guys in the FBI and all those guys in the CIA who are at this moment recording this call, by the way.
Yeah. Say hello. Say hello. They are listening.
Say hello. Hey, hello, everyone. Hey, hello, everyone in the office.
Yeah, that's
this is
true.
Humberto calling from Mexico.
Humberto, check this out. This is the other thing. They also listen to this show, right? And that's that they do, and I don't care. It's an honor. It's a privilege that they do that. But you know that they're listening right now to you and I. They may be listening to your cell phone, but they're also listening to this show. Hello NSA. That's what Dan just tweeted out. It's really true, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Shutting things down, that's not going to happen. Letting them. Go ahead.
Tell me.
Letting them know that we know, I think, is a lot more fun.
Yes.
That we're not stupid.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I just wanted to send this message to all your audience in the United States that this is something that is happening in all the countries. And Jimmy, I know you have a big audience in the States, so I just want to tell you that your show is an amazing show. You have a Mexican audience down here, and take care of all those guys in the United States government.
Thank you so much, Humberto. Be safe and be well, my friend.
Be safe, amigo. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. That's a great phone call right there. Can you imagine having, here we know that the NSA is spying on us, American citizens. We know this. There's no way to avoid it now. They are doing the most massive data collection on all of us, and everything is stored for the Patriot Act. And just in case they need to chase down a terrorist, they can go back and have all of the everything recorded. All right, so we understand that. But that's here where we have some semblance of regulation. You go outside of the United States, look at what Putin is trying to do right now with the internet over in Russia. They are having some serious demonstrations in Moscow right now. And they want to literally control the internet. Think about that. You get outside of the United States and it ain't that kind of party. It's really, really not. They can do whatever they want, and there's nobody there to do any regulation. Think about that. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'm back in the saddle. Yeah, I feel much better. I do. I'm running at about, Rita asked me before the show, I'm running at about 95%, 90%, which is a lot better than 10%, which is where I was over the last 7 months. It's been a long road, but I'm cool. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music Doug Aldrich. Intro Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2019 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Maureen St. Germain. We're talking 5D all night long. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.